How's it going, everyone? Saul Sunforge here for Dungeons and Taverns. How's everybody doing? One of the viewers, Twin Steel, called me out recently because I made a video a while back, well, started to anyway, on an idea that I had for heroic actions. And I promised that I would go ahead and expound on that later on and, make a larger video on what it is I was talking about. I was just kind of giving a framing for an idea, but I promised to touch on it later. That just didn't happen yet, but it's about to happen now. So thank you for being here, and if you enjoy the content, hit that subscribe button and come on back for some more. And they might see some Mario Kart action in the future. Uh, but seriously though, I appreciate every single one of you for watching my videos. So hopefully you enjoy this one. If you know me or you watched any of my D&D sessions, you'll see that I enjoy homebrewing quite a lot. I homebrew monsters. The world really just use D&D's rule set. I think I make more monsters of my own creation than I use. And so the rules are very ripe for homebrewing. As you know, the game D&D is now owned and ran by Hasbro. Pardon me. The same people who make Monopoly and My Little Pony, and they have properties like that. So, what says to you that they know more about fun in the game than you do? Especially if you've been playing as a player, or in particular as a dungeon master or equivalent, because most of my advice going forward is going to be system agnostic. But what tells you that they know more about how you and your players interact with the game to create your own fun moments? Well, they don't, and a lot of their rules and things like that contradict. And so, what do you do when that situation happens? You make your own rules. Everybody kind of agrees on them. You tweak them and things like that. Well, I was thinking about inspiration and how it isn't really particularly as inspiring as you'd want it to be. So my thinking was something called heroic actions. So instead of giving out inspiration points, or even in addition to, depending on what type of game you want to run, players love those types of things for sure. And the object of playing these tabletop games is, as a player, you want to feel like you're making a difference in the world. You're contributing to the party. There's always the thought: am I doing enough damage? Have I optimized my character? Blah blah blah. All of those things are in your head as a player, right? And so the biggest way that I feel that a player can make impactful moments is as a dungeon master or equivalent, putting them in moments where they can save the day, essentially. Every player wants one of those moments where they, against all odds, are able to save the day or save the party. Now, a lot of dungeon masters, they forget about inspiration, sort of, and they don't really reward it out. And players can actually give their inspiration to other players as they see fit. But that really doesn't happen too often, because players want to be, they want to have the center of attention on themselves, at least for a portion of the time, right? Because if you're just in the background, and that's a fine way to play if that's the way you play, but in general, most players want that moment. And so, how do you give them that moment? Well, heroic action is something that I came up with in relation to, equivalent to a creature of strong types, legendary action. They get legendary actions, every round. And that's more so to deal with the action economy of one creature getting swarmed and beat up by a party of however big your party is, 3 to 6 people, maybe more. And so they have legendary actions to try to counter that a little bit, and then that's when the minions and things like that come in. So this way, it's not just an epic beatdown buffet. of the enemy, because anybody could do that. You could just, think that you could do that. And, real life, that's the way it works. If you're ganged up on, usually the one ganged up on is the loser, right? Unless you're incredibly trained and things like that. Well, my solution is on initiative count 20, that one player, if, as you reward them, the heroic actions, and you don't reward these as you do legendary, or excuse me, as you do with inspiration, because the inspiration, you give that out more or less, you should be giving out more or less maybe one a session of somebody, or once every few sessions. But instead of inspiration, or perhaps in addition to inspiration, give them heroic actions. And what a heroic action would be, for example, would be you're outnumbered. The battle is clearly in the enemy's favor. Everybody's health is low. Perhaps your tank is the player you dedicate as the tank. It doesn't have to be a fighter. It could be a cleric, or however you build yourself up. Even a druid would be fine. But you're standing your ground so the rest of your party can go. Well, a heroic action simply will allow you to do more than you normally could do within the rule set. The rule set gives you a finite amount of attacks, 1, 2, 3, depends on if you're a fighter and you have your, you pop your, your cooldown, and get, your next round of actions again. Instead of doing all those things, the heroic action allows you to do specific things that you couldn't do in just one turn. For instance, you're running down a hallway, right? There's traps going off everywhere, but you're an archer, you're a ranger, and you can see at the end of the hallway there's triggers to stop these traps from firing. So as you're running through the traps and your party's getting hit with whatever magic missiles, disintegration, maze, whatever the trap is, so you're able to roll your dice. You declare that it's a heroic action because the traps act on initiative, whatever, 20, 10, however it goes, depending on the trap type and how often it goes off and things like that, how fast it goes. You give it different initiatives as if you're in combat. Well, if you state on initiative 20 that you're using your heroic action, it will allow you to target all those items and try to just, dissolve the traps so they're no longer, they're rendered useless or harmless against the rest of the party. Or say that you're standing on the top of a hill and you have a group of gnolls, goblins, skeletal figures, whatever you want to call it, charging up the hill. And you don't want to have a 5-hour combat with 100 or more potential low-level enemies. So you hope that the heroic action is used, and then you're able to do additional things. Say, there's loose rocks or something like that, big boulders. Well, you start pushing the boulders. Well, you use your strength check, your athletics, and you're pushing you get to push multiple boulders down the hill, and then you describe in narration what happens, and you get rid of quite a bit of combat because you allow that to happen. The better the roll is, the more successful it is. But a heroic action, you should never let a heroic action fail. There should always be a degree of success involved with it, regardless of the roll. Even if it's a 1, you could turn it into a funny situation where, because nobody likes to fail. Nobody really likes to fail, unless you're a glutton for punishment, because I view failure as just another chance to possibly succeed later on, utilizing the lessons from the failure. But in a video game situation or a tabletop game situation, you really don't want to fail too often, because you're supposed to be heroes, and so a heroic action will let you stand your ground, let you save the party, let you do something that's beyond the capabilities of your character, and possibly succeed on these things to a greater deal. And then everybody looks at you like you're the hero, at least for a moment, and that creates set piece moments innately that your characters, your party members, your players, they're going to be talking about in the future whenever they get together with their friends who are playing in other campaigns, and everybody's talking, invariably about the good times that they had in somebody else's campaign. Then those are the moments that they're going to mention their heroic actions, saving the day. And it doesn't even have to be just the party. It could be wide scale. Save a town, or save an entire continent, depending on the situation of the battle going on the background there. And it doesn't have to be just for heroes. You can do something called villainous actions, where an evil player, or evil character, not the player, I just conflate the two. You know what I'm talking about, right? So when the character is evil, they can have villainous actions, which are the equivalent to heroic actions, but to the detriment. Villains aren't. Nobody's usually pure evil just to be evil. Nobody's going to go around just kicking puppies in the face just to do it. There's usually reasons that they're provoked into those actions. Maybe they were bit by that breed of dog or something like that, or I don't know. I just use an example. No, nobody go around kicking puppies. I'm not going to advise that, but I'm saying there's a heroic action equivalent for evil bent characters, right? And there's villainous actions, and for the game that I'm making, that's going to be part of it. And so I just wanted to give you that portion, so you can incorporate it in your own games, in your own systems, and things like that, and create your own fun. And then once you go ahead and use some heroic actions as a player or as a dungeon master or equivalent, go ahead and let me know about them, because I'm very interested in some of the things you could come up with. There's variably tons and tons of scenarios you could come up with. I'll just come up with one on top of my head. A maritime situation. You guys are in a boat. You're being pursued by long-range guns on a different vessel, and their guns can outshoot you. Maybe their vessel can outspeed you. Things like that. But with your heroic action, you're able to set off multiple cannons at once instead of just one cannon. So boom, 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 boom. Maybe a few of those cannons were crits, and then you're able to take down a much larger vessel than your own. Using your heroic action. And there's plenty of examples of that. The inspiration points are good. I like them, but they don't go far enough. And if you know anything about me, I like to go too far. So let's bring the game into the future and get rid of just little piddly things there, and make them more grand and special. And then they'll be more grand and special for your players, and they'll be more special to you as a player. So go ahead and suggest that to your dungeon master if you haven't already, because I'm sure other people have came up with these ideas. I just put my own spin on these things, and it's just something I came up with, and hopefully you enjoy it. So yes, I'm still on the laptop. You could tell the quality isn't as great. I'm sorry about that. Work has been kicking my butt. I've been trying to do, a solid 40 to 60 while the summer's going on, to try to, bring in some extra money to get some of these other things taken care of. And the computer, at least I have a laptop, so, I can't complain terribly much. My Adobe subscription expired, so I can't edit those videos, but I'm going to go ahead and get that subscription back, or go to something else to edit, and like maybe a DaVinci Resolve or something, and or a Sony Vegas, and we'll go ahead and get that stuff started back up for you guys. It's just right now most of my time is committed to working, unfortunately, but that's just a part of adulting. So thank you so much for watching my videos, and remember, if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more. I'll see you soon. I salute you all. Have yourselves a great day, and if I don't see you again, a great summer. Take care.